Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Chris. Today I'm in my 2008 Audi R8 with the R-Tronic transmission, and today I just want to talk to you guys about how you should be driving your R-Tronic or E-Gear equipped exotic car. Someone that owns one of these cars already, you probably know a lot of these tips and tricks. If you're new or a prospective buyer in one of these cars, then you probably aren't familiar. So I'm going to teach you guys how to drive the car and save a lot of money by saving wear on your clutch, and overall make the experience way more enjoyable than if you just got in the car without any knowledge. So what is the E-Gear R-Tronic transmission? It's a Volkswagen Audi Group 6-speed transmission with 1 clutch, 6 gears, and the clutch action and shifting is controlled by the computer. Now in manual mode, the human can choose shift points and shift the car, but all of the shifting is controlled by the transmission, and the modulation of the clutch is controlled by the transmission as well. So first things first, the most crucial thing that you have to do every time you get in one of these cars is always turn sport mode on. There's a button, at least in the R8, it's right down on the shifter. It's a huge button, you can't miss it. I know in the Gallardos they have a sport button as well. So what this does is when you're in sport mode, it operates it modulates the clutch a lot differently than if you were in non-sport mode. So if you were driving around in non-sport mode, the car is trying to give you the smoothest driving experience, and what that does is it basically will ride the clutch a lot more and it will shift a lot slower. And on paper, having a smoother ride sounds great, but in these older cars, it actually doesn't really make for much smoother of a ride anyway. So always turn sport mode on. Your shifts will be a lot quicker because it's not riding the clutch as long, so that's a lot nicer. You get quicker shifts, and most importantly, it is not slipping the clutch as much. So less modulation on the clutch is a lot better for these cars. You'll even notice if you accelerate from a stoplight without sport mode turned on, it will ride the clutch a lot. But if you do it with sport mode on, it gets off the clutch a lot quicker, which is extremely important in all of these cars because stop and go is where the most clutch wear will happen. And especially in the older Gallardos, some of those cars have older software on them if they haven't been updated, and especially on those 2004 Gallardos that have the extremely long first gear that can go up to like 60 miles an hour. So you really want to drive with sport mode on always. That is one of the hugest savers of clutch life of any of the tips in this video. So another thing that you can do is drive the car in manual mode. This is really important because in the automatic mode, the car could be shifting more often than you might be. The car might find it necessary to downshift or upshift at a certain point where you know it's not necessary because maybe you're rolling up to a stoplight or something like that where the shift isn't going to be needed. So the less your car is shifting, the less it's utilizing that clutch, which will save you clutch life and clutch wear. So additionally, in these cars, driving in automatic mode is not a smooth experience. You don't really anticipate when the car is going to shift, and since it's a single clutch automatic, the car will just kind of shift. And because it's not a torque converter automatic, there's a split second or two where the car is shifting, you didn't anticipate it, you kind of rock back and forth. It's not that fun. You can make the driving experience a lot smoother by manually driving the vehicle, which is good. Another really important thing about the manual mode, if you're in a parking lot and driving at slow speeds, if you were in automatic mode, the car might keep the car in second gear. And if you're kind of navigating a parking lot between 5 and 10 miles an hour, that's going to be a lot of clutch slippage, which is really bad. You can leave the car in manual mode, drive around a parking lot and keep it in first gear. And yeah, it's going to rev up a little more, maybe like 3,000 or 3,500 RPMs, but it's not a big deal. It's not like you care, you're saving the clutch. There's no point in having it slip the clutch every time you slow down in second gear and wear it down that much. That's really bad. So another thing that I like to do for tip number 3 is to come up to a stoplight and kick the car into neutral. In the R8, you can do this by sliding the R-Tronic lever over to the right. I believe in the Gallardos, you just pull both paddles and it'll go into neutral. And the reason for this is if you're sitting at the light in a gear, it won't stall out, but the computer is basically holding in the clutch for you and wearing out the throwout bearing, which is obviously not good. So you can minimize some wear there by just putting the car into neutral. You just have to shift the car back into gear when you're ready to accelerate from the light. And it's really easy to do. I just got in the habit of doing that all the time whenever I come to a stop. The only time I don't do it is if I come up to a stop sign where I'm going to be stopped for maybe, you know, 5 seconds or something like that. But if you're going to be sitting at a stoplight, definitely kick the car into neutral. You will save the throw-out bearing, and again, just save a little bit of wear and tear on the car. Another thing you can do is get a transmission flash. So I have an Ultimate PD TCU Flash. It's programmed to shift a little bit quicker and generally not ride the clutch as much. That's another thing people do that's pretty popular to help just make a more sporty driving experience. And again, there's the additional benefit of saving clutch wear, which is really nice. So I believe that flash is maybe, you know, $500 to $700. It came with my car, so I can't speak to how much better it is than a stock tune, but definitely check out the forums. There's lots of people that offer different flashes. I like mine. I think it's fine. So yeah, take a look. For my final tip, I would say one of the other things to do that can help you save clutch life is do lift shifting. So for example, I'm in 4th gear right now. Pull the paddle, let off the gas, wait for it to get in gear, and then put my foot back on the pedal. If your foot's on the gas, there's some overlap between, you know, your foot being on the gas and the engine revving a bit, and it might slip the clutch a little bit. So obviously not doing that will help reduce the slippage on the clutch and a little bit of the wear on the clutch. The only time you should be keeping your foot down while shifting is if you're pretty much wide open throttle and winding it out towards redline. These cars are programmed so that they shift more quickly and more aggressively up towards redline, and at wide open throttle it just kind of snaps through the gears, rather than if you're driving more slowly, if you shift, you'll notice the car does take its time to shift a little bit more just to make things a little smoother. There's no point if you're driving like me right now at 30 miles an hour in 3rd gear, when I shift to 4th, for it to just snap into the next gear. So the only time you should keep your foot down during shifting is wide open throttle. All right guys, that's pretty much it as far as what I can think of to help preserve your clutch and just make overall a better R-Tronic driving experience. If you have anything in your head that I missed, please comment below. We can treat this video as pretty much a general forum, so let's make a discussion and talk about other ways to preserve the clutch and just generally help people who are curious about getting into one of these cars, how they can make the best of their experience. Thank you guys very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope this helps you if you're searching for one of these cars as a prospective buyer. If it did help you, give this video a like, subscribe for more R8 content, and thank you guys for watching. Take care.